Hi all, welcome again on Dev Stack. In the last video of this series, we created the model class for the add block page. And also we added the logic on the preview button. Now it's time to connect this add block page to the corresponding REST API endpoint. And here we have the add block button. In this button, we will call the REST API endpoint. To call the REST API endpoint, first we have to create the network handler instance. So let me create the network handler instance. And also I have to initialize the network handler instance over here. Now we will use this network handler instance to the add block button. Now I have to go on add block button, and here we have to perform the some logic. And before we press on add block button, first we have to check the image is added successfully or not. So we have the image file. If the image file is not equal to null, then only we will call the REST API endpoint. Then we will check the validation of this two text form field is completed or not. We have the global key for it. If you watch the last video, then you know about it. And in a global key, we have the current state and the validate method. It will validate the data like images and the text form field carefully. After the validation is successful, then we will call the network handler. So to call a network handler, first we need to create the async and await. So here we have var. We will store the response we will get from the backend after calling the REST API endpoint in the response variable. Here we will use the await, and we will use the network handler instance. And inside the network handler, if I will go, here we have the method called post. This method will not work here, but let me just give you an example that why it's not work. And we created the model class for the respective add block page. So right now I have to also initialize the model class over here. So this is the add model, and if I will click on add model, then automatically the add model dot file will be imported inside this add block dot file. Okay, so don't be confused that I'm not showing the import part. So I have to create the add block model instance over here, and I have to initialize the data of the add block model. If you didn't watch the model class series, please watch the model class series first. I will give the link of that series on a description, where I explained everything of the model class creation. Inside the model class of the add model, we have body, and we have to provide the body. Where we will get the data of the body, we have the body text edit controller. Inside the body text edit controller, we have the txt, and we will get the txt of the body with help of that. And also I have to give the title because we have just two fields. First one is title and second one is body. So I have to provide the title also. And for that, I already have the title text edit controller and to use the text. If you watch the last video, we used the same thing, the body text edit controller and title text edit controller for the preview button. Now the add block is successful, and we have to use this add block model instance over here. So inside the network handler, we have the post method. This method will not work, but I want to show you that what kind of error we will get. And here inside the body, what I have to do, that I have to provide this add block model instance, and we will use the toJSON method. If you know that add block model, we created the toJSON method for it. And please watch the model class creation for why we are using this toJSON method over here. And here I have to provide the URL also, that is the endpoint. What will be the endpoint? Let me go on a block server. Inside the block server, the endpoint of the adding a block is /add. And here what I have to do is, I found a glitch that I'm just calling the .catch method inside the main method. We have to call this catch method outside the main method. So I will just control X, and after the main method I will call this catch method. The spelling of the catch also is misspelled over here. So that's my bad. Sorry for it. And I will hit the save, and it's working fine. Now I will give you the clear understanding of the each of the REST API endpoint. This is the API documentation of the blog server, and the blog post /add is the REST API endpoint for the our adding a blog. So I will copy the REST API endpoint and I will paste this REST API endpoint over here. This is the URL part. So this is the documentation of the blog server which we created throughout the whole series. This is the add method for the adding the blog. This is the cover image endpoint for the posting the cover image. So both are the documentation are here, and I already provided the link of the documentation on the GitHub, and also I will provide the link of this documentation on the description, so you will get benefited of it. So let me go on a Flutter and let me show you that what kind of error we will get. So that's it, and let's print the response, that what we are getting as a response from the backend, response.body. Okay, now hit the save and let me just do this thing, and let me add something test1 and testing as a key. If I will click on add block, it will not work because we had to also provide the image over here. So let me fetch the image from the gallery, and if I will click on add block, I will get an error that the interlink has map is not a subtype of map string string. Let me go on a network handler. This post method we created for the for those post data, I mean for the those post HTTP call, those we are using the model classes. Right now we are using the model classes and we are posting this model classes on the post method. And in other part of the video, I showed you that we not created any kind of model classes for the posting the data. So this network handler for those where we didn't use the model classes, now we are using the model classes. So what we have to do is that I will just copy this whole thing, and I will just change the name to the post one, and here instead of providing the data type, I will just use the var. Okay, I'm not using the map string, I'm just using the var, and I will hit the save and I will go on add block, and in the add block instead of using the post I will use the postman, and I will again hit the save. And now let's click on add block button. If I will click on add block button, we are getting a response back from the backend. Here you can see that we are getting the coverage image is null and comment 0, share 0, and username as a devstack06 because I log in with the devstack06 credential, and the title as a test1 and body as a testing. Let me go on a browser, and inside the browser what I have, that I have MongoDB Atlas cluster. So it will open the MongoDB Atlas cluster and I will show you to the collection of the blog post. Let, let's fetch the data first, and till the fetching the data, I just want to say that thank you to all the subscribers who subscribe this channel and who keep supporting this channel, also sharing this video to their friend. And in the last video I asked you to give me at least 700 subscriber, but right now I have a 677 subscriber. That's also okay, that's a very huge, and I wanted to thanks to all the subscriber and all the friend who subscribe this channel, and I don't have any word for them. I mean, I'm really thankful for them. Keep supporting this channel, keep liking the video, keep commenting on a video, and keep sharing this video to your friends, so I will get a motivation for uploading a video, and I will try to make the content very useful. And thanks all for from my heart. Okay, now let me go on a Atlas server. In the Atlas server, you will see that in blog post we have one entry. The one entry contains the test one and testing thing. Okay, now what I have to do, that I have to update this cover image with help of the cover image REST API endpoint. Okay, let me go on add block again, and in the add block what we had to do is we had to fetch the this particular ID first. Then we will send, with help of this ID only we will post the our cover image. As I explained on another video, let me go on a blog post server. In a blog post server, in a REST API endpoint for the patching the cover image, I am providing the ID because I have to find the cover image of the particular blog ID. I already explained why I am using ID. Okay, so how we will provide this ID? So let me go there. Here in a response, we are getting back the ID. Okay, we have to queue this ID at the time of calling the REST API endpoint for the cover image. For the easiness, I'm thinking that in a slash add method, I will just update a little bit thing. Here, instead of providing the whole data, right now we're getting the whole data, I will just provide the ID after posting a blog. So to provide the ID, what I have to do that I will just use the result and I will add the square bracket and I will use underscore ID and I will hit the save. And for the testing, I will go on a add block page and I will open the app, and here I will use the test2, and here also I will use the testing2, and I will hit the add block button. And right now we are getting the data and we are just getting the ID of the particular blog, and we have to use this particular ID for the posting the cover image. So here I will use first response. If the response have the status code 200, which means the posting is successful, okay, which means the REST API call was successful, or response dot status code 201, then we will call the endpoint of the cover image. And for the create profile page, we created a method called patch image where we are just providing the file path of the image in the particular URL, which means the endpoint of the image. So we will use this patch image method again in an add block page. So here what I have to do is first I will have to decode the response body, and how I will decode it. So the ID is a string. I will store the string over here. It is the ID, and I will just store it over here. Okay, inside the response status code is 200, and here we have to decode this response body first because it's a JSON string, and we have to create a map type. And to do that, we will use the JSON, and I will import it. Okay, when I click on JSON, then automatically the convert package will be imported on the add block page. So with help of these, let me go on add button. We have the decode. Inside the decode, we have to provide this response dot body, and it will decode the response dot body as a JSON string to the map type. And inside the map type, what I have to use, that I have to use this data. So because we have to access this data, so this data will contain the ID. Okay, now I have to send this ID while calling the REST API endpoint of the cover image. Again, I will use the war image response for getting a response of the image, and I will call the await again, and I will use the network handler again because I have to call the REST API endpoint, and inside the network handler I have the patch image. Now inside the patch image I have to provide the corresponding REST API endpoint of the patching the cover image. I will again go on a blog server REST API documentation, and this is the endpoint of the patching the cover image. Blog post slash add slash cover image, and this is the ID. In the last video of the Node.js, I used the dummy ID, but here we have to provide the actual ID. So I will copy the URL over here and paste the URL over here, and I will use this ID. let me use this ID over here. I will use the string interpolation of the Flutter and I will provide the ID over here. Now it's good. Now I have to provide the file path. So how we will get the file path? We are storing the image file on the variable called image file, and I will call the image file dot path. So it will be okay. And now I had to just put the semicolon. Okay, everything is good. Okay, we will not use it because single entry will not require the curly braces. And let's print the status code of the image response. Image response dot status code. I will hit the save, and this will be a test tree testing 3, and we have the image. And let's click the add block button. Add block button is clicked. We got the corresponding ID, we got the status code 200 of the image response. Now it's time to go on the block server. Inside the uploads method we got an image, and this was the image we fetched from the gallery on the blog app, and we uploaded this image successfully on our backend code. So let me go on a MongoDB Atlas cluster, and if I will refresh, then we will get the 3 entry. First one was the testing 1, second one was the testing 2, and third one was the testing 3. So this one is test 1, this one is test 2, and this one is testing 3. Inside the testing tree, the cover image is now updated because we uploaded the cover image on the third time. Okay, that's why the test tree, testing tree, and the corresponding cover image with the corresponding ID. So now we will fetch the corresponding cover image with help of the blog ID, which means the purpose of this video is completed, but still we have something to add over here. After getting the successful response, the status code, what we have to do is we have to use the if condition, and we will use the 200 or 201, which means the image is uploaded successfully. And here I'm not adding the else condition because it's your turn. I mean, I'm just adding the if condition, and in the else condition you have to write your own logic that if the add block endpoint is not work perfectly, which means this if condition is not work perfectly, we will not get the status code 200 or 201. To write an else condition where you will perform some logic that show the snack bar that endpoint is not work. Also here I'm using the if condition, and the image is successfully uploaded on a backend. Then I will go on a home page again, and you have to show the snack bar again that that image is not uploaded successfully, to show the user that every point, I mean every error you are getting with help of the UI, like we have snack bar, bottom shape, anything you want to show to user that your endpoint is not work. So that is your part. After the if condition, write a else condition also to show the user that that API is not work or something else. Okay, here we will use the navigator. After successfully we will post the data to the backend, and inside the navigator what I will use the remove until push and remove until. Okay, and inside that context we will use the context, and here we will provide the material route, material page route. In the page route, in the builder we will use the context, and here I will call the home page because we have to go to home page after the successfully posting a blog. And I will add the semicolon over here, and I will hit a save. Now let's test it. It will be test4, and I will click on add block. It will go on a home page because we got the new ID and we got the status code. And now we are inside the home page where we have a drawer and it in and now we have to work on this home page and this profile page to show the blogs we just uploaded. So thank you all and happy coding. Please subscribe this channel and I'm just improving my content day by day. So please help me to grow this channel because your one subscribe will motivate me to upload new video daily. Okay. So thank you all and see you on the next video.